Hi guys, welcome back. Today we are making a spicy tofu dish that is great for weeknights. My mom keeps complaining that I share really complicated recipes on my blog and on YouTube, so I just wanted to create a very simple weeknight dish that you can make in about 30 minutes. We'll be pan frying some tofu and tossing it with a creamy, spicy sauce. Before we begin, I want to talk about the type of tofu that you want to use for this dish. Now, oftentimes when you are pan frying tofu, many recipes will tell you to use extra firm tofu like this. And what you'll do is you'll have to take the block out of this package, drain all the water, wrap it around some layers of paper towel or any kind of cloth, and you weigh it down with a heavy object and let it sit on your counter for 15 to 20 minutes. That process is so that you can squeeze out some of the moisture that's inside the tofu. Now that's a lot of prep time, and in recent months, I've actually been straying towards buying tofu that's already been pre-pressed. And all I need to do is just take the tofu out of the package and it's ready to cook straight away. The confusing thing about this style of tofu is that depending on the type of tofu maker, they'll label it various types of firmness. So if you are in the supermarket and you're wondering which type of tofu to buy, a safe bet is if you are buying tofu that comes in these vacuum sealed bags like this, with very little water, chances are you can just take this out the bag and start cooking.
One important thing I forgot to mention on camera is that when you squeeze this very pressed style of tofu, it should feel very dense. To show you a comparison, on the left I have a very pressed style of tofu, and on the right I have a less pressed one. Notice how the tofu on the right looks more squishy and the one on the left is like a solid block. If your tofu is as dense as the one on the left, then you can pan fry it straight out the package. Slice the tofu into 1-inch cubes. If it's a little bigger or a little smaller than what you see here, it doesn't really matter. Then heat a large non-stick pan with some oil, any oil, over medium-high heat. Once the pan is hot, add the tofu pieces and spread them around the pan. If you can't fit all the pieces of tofu in the pan at once, fry them in batches. Season the tofu with a small pinch of salt and pan fry the bottoms for about 3 to 4 minutes until golden brown. I like using a non-stick pan for this to ensure that the tofu doesn't stick to the pan. It's really annoying otherwise. Then turn all the pieces over to another side and sprinkle a bit more salt. Pan fry them until golden before flipping the tofu to another side. On a normal day, I usually pan fry 4 sides of the tofu cubes, but I did all 6 for this video. Once the tofu is all fried up, transfer it to a plate. For the sauce, you'll need some thinly sliced shallots and minced ginger. Then heat some virgin coconut oil in a large pan over medium heat. I like using virgin coconut oil because it's more fragrant. Add the shallots and saute them for a few minutes, stirring frequently to keep them from burning. After a few minutes, the shallots should be softened. Add the ginger and stir everything together. Then pour the coconut milk into the pan. I like using full-fat canned coconut milk because it's more fragrant and it will give us a thicker, creamier sauce at the end. If you opened a can of coconut milk for this recipe, I have a post on my site to show you how to use the leftover milk, which I'll link to below.
For the sauce, I am using sambal oelek. I don't actually really know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, so if you do know how to pronounce this correctly, please tell me in the comments. But this sauce is spicy and it has a bit of tang from the vinegar in there, and it really cuts through the richness of the coconut milk.
I'm also adding a bit of red curry paste. It's an easy way to add bright flavor to a dish. Although Thai Kitchen says this curry paste is hot on the label, I don't find it to be spicy at all. I'm adding some coconut sugar here to balance out the vinegary flavor of the sambal oelek. You can use any other kind of sugar you want. Add some ground coriander. I like using it to give the dish some earthy flavor. And season the sauce with more salt. Add the fried tofu to the sauce and mix everything together. Oh my gosh, my mouth is watering even as I'm watching back this footage. Transfer the spicy tofu and the sauce to a serving bowl. Garnish with sesame seeds, scallions, and some red pepper flakes if you like. I like using gochugaru, which is Korean red pepper flakes. Alright, let's give this a taste.
Pan frying the tofu adds nice textural contrast, because if I were just to put the tofu into the sauce directly, you'll just be biting into something that's pretty soft. So that's why I like pan frying, because it's a little bit chewier on the outside, but the center is still soft.
Alright guys, that's it. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Until next time.